Good evening everyone, I hope you're doing well, and today we're going to be looking at some of my old Doctor Who character options figurines, and I thought this might be quite a fun video to do because it's so nostalgic, and I know a lot of you probably had these figurines as well, and quite recently I found them in the attic, so I couldn't help but to just have a good look at them, so I thought I'd do that with you today. So first of all, this lunchbox. Now, this isn't a toy, obviously. I mean, depends how you use it, but this is a Dalek lunchbox. Now, I had this lunchbox when, oh my god, I probably was about 7 years old. It's really nice. I mean, you open it up. Okay, it looks like there's a dead body in here. I promise there wasn't. Basically, when I found this in the attic, I also found this Spider-Man costume for one of my Build-A-Bears, so it kind of melted. Don't know what happened there, but it's such a nice lunchbox. I had this, yeah, I've had this for so many years, and I used to store my Doctor Who figurines in there. Something else I used to also love about this lunchbox is the fact that when you pressed a little button, I think it was by here, he would say exterminate, and I would just show it to all my friends, because I was really cool back then. Nothing's changed. So first off, I'm going to start with the series 1 figurines. The first one I want to show you is the Slitheen. Now, this is so nostalgic. This was kind of, you know, a bit of a staple from me playing with them back in the day. I'd always play with the Slitheen, and I actually had 2 of these. Here's his mate. I was quite lucky as a kid because my nan used to work in Woolworths before it shut down, and so she would be able to get really good deals on, you know, Doctor Who figurines. So when I was a kid, I used to live at my nan's, and also along with my 3 aunties, as well as my mum. And so one of my aunties was also really into Doctor Who, and she'd also get kind of the same figures as me. So there, you'll probably see a few doubles. I mean, not too many doubles, but a couple doubles throughout this. So I feel kind of lucky in that way, you know, she lets me have them now. But these are just so cool. So with the Slitheen, there was a release first with a skin suit as an accessory, which I think is really cool. Then there was a re-release with matte finish eyes instead of the more glossy eyes. I think these both kind of have the glossier eyes. I think this one has more glossy eyes than this one, but I don't know if that's just because they're old. But this could be a re-release. And there was also a re-release with the Space Pigs in 2007, and I think it's most likely that these were the re-releases with the Space Pigs because I have 2 Space Pigs. So one of these probably were my aunties, and I guess we both got these re-releases with the Space Pigs. I mean, they're really cool figures to have together in a set, I think. The Space Pigs are really cool. I mean, they're really nice kind of scale-wise compared to the normal human figurines as well, like the Doctor and Companions. And you've got some really nice detail here. I mean, you've got the really cool gold finish on this suit, and then you've got those little kind of metallic bits here on his suit, and it's really neat. I think the only weird thing is kind of his jaw, the way it connects by there. It doesn't move. I guess they just had a separate mold for that because it was easier, but it's just a really nice figurine. The articulation isn't great because he's kind of thick, but he can kind of sit down. He can move his arms up and down, which is always a plus. And the eyes look great, I'm not gonna lie. They look really good. And I like the way they kind of made him look a bit hairy too. So I think these are really good ones. The articulation on the Slitheen are amazing too. I mean, his arms go all the way out and spin around 360. His forearm can bend, his legs can bend, his knees can bend. It's really great, and his head can even turn around. It can do a whole 360. It's pretty good. Yeah, I really like these. Honestly, they're really good figurines. And what is that? Does he have like a skin tag on his ass cheek? Oh dear. He should probably get that checked out. Anyway, while he's booking an appointment to the doctors, let's move on to Captain Jack Harkness. Perhaps one of my favourite ever character options figurines. Not just for the nostalgia, but the way it even just kind of holds up to this day. His figurine, it's a really good likeness of him. Honestly, his neck is a bit thick. I'm gonna say it. But it's a really good figurine. I mean, I love it, especially because, you know, it's the same costume he wore in his first ever appearance on Doctor Who. It's really good figurine. The articulation's pretty good. I mean, he can bend his arm, he can bend his forearm. Can't bend his hands, but that's fine. And he can kind of sit down, bend his knee as well.
Excellent bottom.
So there was a couple of releases of Captain Jack. There was one with his World War II badged RAF cap accessory, and I don't think this is that one. I think this is the one with the empty child and blaster gun, because his hand, there's like a little hole for a gun to be, and also I have the empty child. So I do think this is that release, the one with the empty child, and I really like that they put them together in a pack, obviously because it's from the same episode that his first ever appearance was in. I can't believe it. It's so weird rewatching the empty child and the Doctor dances, because you wouldn't realise watching it for the first time that Jack would have his own spin-off. Torchwood is great. Also, there was a release with him and just his gun, but I do think this is the one with the empty child. And I really do like this. It does look just like him, you know, it's so good. You know, I'm getting Billis vibes here, but it's really good. I mean, the emblem on his outfit, it's amazing. I really love these character options figurines. They're some of my favourites. So now let's have a look at the empty child. Now this has a little less articulation, I think, just because it's a smaller figurine. I mean, you know, it is kind of half the size of Jack Harkness, so probably about 3 inches. But it's really good still. It's got a lot of nice detail. I think his clothes are a little bit drab. I mean, they don't really have any depth to them. It's all just kind of grey. But it still looks really good. I mean, look at his hair. I used to be terrified of this figure when I was a kid. Oh my god. And this episode in general, it's still terrifying when the Doctor's face changes into this. Not the Doctor, but the Doctor, you know. And his shoes and his little socks. Yeah, this is a really neat figurine. I think it's really cool. I think it would have been cool as well if you had like a normal figure of him and the gas mask could come as an accessory. I don't think they've done that. That would have been cool. Maybe they can do a re-release at some point. So this is the empty child and his triangular nose. Yeah, really cool. Also, because his feet are kind of too small to have the legal stuff on, they did it on his back, and it takes up kind of a bit of room, but I mean, it's not too noticeable. It's fine. It's a really good figure. So the next figurine I'm going to be talking about is the Gelth Zombie. Now, the Gelth Zombie had 2 releases, I'm pretty sure. I could be completely wrong, by the way. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of these. I'm not an expert on the releases of all these figures, but I did a bit of research. So there were 2 releases with these. The normal one, and there was one where she was a glow-in-the-dark figurine. Her head and her hands glow in the dark. And I think that's really cool. Unfortunately, this is not one of those. I love glow-in-the-dark things. I'm a simple man with simple needs. But I really actually like this figurine. I mean, The Unquiet Dead, I don't really like the episode. I think it's okay, and I love that it has Eve Miles in it. but it's not great at all. Not good. I love the Ninth Doctor, but I just don't like the episode. It's got some really neat details. I mean, her hat, I don't know what exactly this is called, but I'm just gonna call it a hat. And her hair peeking out at the back with a bit of texture and the shadowing and everything. It looks really neat, and the way that, and it kind of looks hand painted, this pattern on her dress. I wonder if it is. I mean, it must have been. And here too, it's just really good quality figurine. I mean, under her dress, there's not really much, it's just kind of black, but there's still kind of detail on her shoes. You can't really see it in this light, but you can feel her laces on her boots. It's really, really good quality. Obviously, because she's wearing a dress and everything, she can't bend her knees and she can't really move her legs much. They do move, but the dress stops it. However, you have really nice articulation. They've definitely made it up on the arms, because she can move it up and down, she can twist her forearm, and she can bend her elbow. If it will let me bend it, there he is. You can bend her elbow, and you can twist her hands around, which is really cool. Just really good effort on the articulation here, and a really good looking figurine. I've got to say, obviously her nose. I've played with this figure quite a bit. I mean, some of them are quite banged up. Her nose paint is chipping off a bit, but it's a really nice figurine. It really is, and it looks really cool and very creepy, honestly. I mean, you wake up in the middle of the night and you see this, what are you gonna do, you know? The next figurine I'm gonna be talking about is the grey Auton. Not the black Auton, not the other black Auton, the grey Auton. Now, this was kind of sold in its own pack. There was also a pack, I think, of all the Autons sold together, but there was just one pack of one measly Auton, no offense to this guy. And it's really cool because, obviously, their hands move. Now, when I was a kid, like I said, I played with these quite a bit and I snapped his hand off, so my mum super glued it back together, and so it doesn't move anymore. However, it's still a very cool figurine, and I mean, even without this function, it's nice to just display it, because obviously if you're displaying it, which I would be doing now instead of playing with it, it doesn't matter so much that his hand is broken. So it's just a really neat figurine to have, really, if you want a collection and just display them. His clothes are a bit boring, but it's screen accurate, and it's got some really good articulation. I mean, I guess it's got the standard along with the hand, which I think is really cool. He's sitting on a toilet or something. But yeah, really cool. These were really creepy as a kid, and it just looks really good. I mean, obviously they didn't have to do much paint, you know, paint apps on it because you know, he's all one color basically. But it's really good. I mean, and they have this softer rubber used on the coat. It's really, really good. And speaking of Autons, we have the double Auton lads. So these are the two black ones, basically. This one is basically the same as this one, pretty much, but it has black instead of grey. So, I mean, I guess the same can really be said for both of these. I like the little detail on the belt buckle as well. It's really good. It ties it all together, I think, because it's all kind of one solid colour, but then you have the belt buckle. It just adds a bit of flair. And this one has always been my favourite because of his jazzy shirt. Because, you know, the other two, you know, they're good, they do the job. But this one, look at that shirt. I want that. It's so good. And with this one, his hand actually moves. I know. Unfortunately, this one, I also broke his hand, and I don't know where it went.
Have you seen this? This whole section is covered in fingers.
So he's fingerless. But I guess, you know, it adds a bit of something. Maybe the doctor, like, blew up his handgun or something with his screwdriver. Who knows? For this one, you can actually see his hand rotate, and it's a really cool effect. I love that they added that. So this one is my favourite. I think as well, the reason why his hand is the only one intact is because I loved him so much. Like I said, I loved his shirt. I always thought he was the best one, so I probably just looked after this one a bit more. Although you can see a bit of a scratch on his head where the paint's coming off. But it's a really nice figurine, and I really like this one. So the next one I'm going to be talking about is Rose Tyler. Bloop. I shouldn't have done that. I'm very precious about these figurines. I don't like to bang them up as much as I did when I was a kid, but it's a really neat looking figurine. I mean, the only issue is, I mean, obviously they had the kind of normal stance version of Rose Tyler. I used to like this because I think I liked this particular outfit on her. I thought it looked good, you know, it's got a name on the back. I actually forgot about that, that's so cool. Rose. Yeah, really, I like this outfit on her. I mean, they did a great job on the jacket and everything. It's just the stance. I understand this is kind of the battle pose. I mean, good lord, look at that waistline. Yeah, I understand this is the battle pose. However, it just looks a little bit awkward, I think. When she's standing up, it kind of just looks like she's a bit of a chav, wearing pants a bit too tight. But it's a cool pose, I guess. I know what they were going for. I'm not 100% sure if it kind of works. It's harder to play with, but I guess it's kind of nicer as a display item. Although it does look a bit like she's trying to lunge into her pants. Even though that waistline, good lord, look at that. And I really like this detailing on her trousers. I mean, obviously the flare, I think it's really cool, and you can just see her little sneakers peeking out and everything. Sand shoes, her Adidas specialty shoes. But yeah, I think this is a good figurine. I have good memories of this. Obviously, like I said, articulation makes it harder, or lack of, makes it harder to play with. I mean, it's only really her arms that kind of move out and in. You can kind of sit her down, but I mean, yeah, that looks good when she sits down. And her head doesn't move because of her hair. However, I think it's a really neat figurine, and they did a really good job on the detailing of this. You know, even the zip and everything, like, really, really good, and a t-shirt underneath. And her face, her nose, like, it's kind of peeling off a bit, the paint. But I think it looks good, you know. There was quite a few variations of this. There was a Rose Tyler figurine like this, which came with 2 robot spiders. However, her hair was a bit browner than this. Although I do remember having those robot spiders, so I don't know if they came from this. If I had a different version of her, maybe my auntie had one, I don't know. However, this particular Rose, because she has yellower hair, was released with a Dalek battle pack. So this must have come with at least 1 Dalek. And I do remember having a few. So yeah.
I want chips.
So next we're going to be looking at the Quillotane. These lovely legends from Father's Day. And, you know, I like the episode. I think it's a good episode. I just don't really like Rose. So, you know, a little bit awkward. But this is actually a really cool figure. I'm really glad that I have this. Not only for the fact that it looks really cool. I mean, the articulation is amazing. They've done a great job with the whole sculpt and the paint apps. It looks great. And yeah, obviously not to mention the fact that it comes with these wings that you can just easily clip in. And they can move up and down. How cool is that? How awesome. But not only that, this is also a bit of a special figurine, because later versions of this had its mouth closed. So this means that this is an earlier version of the figurine. Obviously, I mean, I don't really know if that's too special, but to me I think that's really cool that this is an actual earlier version of the figurine and it's not a later version. For some reason that just adds a bit of value in my mind. But yeah, it's really cool, and this bit is more rubbery, so you can kind of move up and down like he's talking, you know.
これは円です。
Very cool. And it's, yeah, got some really good articulation. I mean, his knees bend, his arms bend out and around, and his forearms bend on his elbow and everything. And his head, I will say his head doesn't move. However, he flies. So, like, you know, what more do you want, you know? There was also a red Quillotane released. I mean, it was just a normal one. For some reason, they didn't really mark it as red. It was just the normal one, and then this is the grey one. So yeah, there was a red Quillotane also released, and this is the grey one, and an earlier version of the grey one. Very, very cool. Really, really cool. The next figurine is the Ninth Doctor himself. Okay, there's two of them. This time there's two of us. Not three of us, two of us, yes. So this again is a similar sort of thing that they were going for with Rose, with the dynamic...
Kill yourself.
With the dynamic pose, obviously. It's a little hard to balance them. But yeah, you can kind of see what they're going for there.
You upset my mum.
Oi. I'm having too much fun. And I think it actually works kind of better on the Doctor. I mean, because I think it just looks a little less awkward on him. It looks a little more natural, the kind of stance that he's in. Because he's got his arm kind of flailed out. You can imagine Eccleston, you know, doing this in the actual show. You know, he's got his hand pointed out for his screwdriver. I don't know where his screwdriver is, but there must be two floating about somewhere. This one's, oh, like you can see his arm is very broken. Although I can proudly say this was not my one, this is my auntie's one, okay? Just ignore that I also broke my Auton's hands. However, but it's a really neat figurine, really. I mean, his head can move around pretty well. I mean, it doesn't have to go 360, so... and it doesn't. Obviously, there's a bit of a discolour between his head and his the rest of his body. It looks more yellowy or pale than his chest, which is more pinkish. But honestly, it's not too bad. It's not really that bad, and it does look like him. You can tell this is Christopher Eccleston. You know, he's got the nose, he's got the ears, and I really like. Again, they've done this kind of more rubbery plastic for the coat, and they've got such a nice detail on this coat. It looks genuinely like leather. It's really good. Look at that, so cool. And they've got the crinkles on the trousers and his little shoes. Look at that. They've got just really good detail on those shoes. Really good. And obviously his trademark burgundy t-shirt with a v-neck, because he's, you know, that's a brave fashion choice, and Eccleston pulls it off, you know. So yeah, these are the Ecclestons. They could have their own reality show. Now, there's not much articulation again, because this is a backward stance. I mean, he can kind of sit down, but he can't bend his knees, and he can bend his arms, his forearms, really. But he can't bend the top of his arms. Well, actually, he can a bit, but they're a bit stiff, I think, just because I've had them for such a long time. But yeah, I think this is definitely a really good figurine, especially for displaying. I mean, you can just, like, imagine him with his arm out. Look, he's got a screwdriver, he's pointing it at... Who's he pointing at? Oh, Captain Jack.
Who looks at a screwdriver and thinks, ooh, this could be a little more sonic? What, you never been bored?
So I really like this one, and I love the Ninth Doctor, so... Perhaps I am biased. Okay, so next up we're gonna have a little gander at my Series 2 figurines. Now I'm gonna start off with one of my favourite characters, species from the Doctor Who universe, and that is the Ood. I only have a few of these, well, 3 to be more specific, Series 2 figurines to show you today. But here we have the Ood, and it is magnificent. I love the Ood. They're so adorable. Really, really cool. I loved Planet of the Ood. It's a very good episode. and I love Donna Noble. But yeah, it's really cool. So basically when they were releasing these, they also released a glow-in-the-dark version, where he has glow-in-the-dark eyes and a glow-in-the-dark translator. So that was really cool. I would really love to have a more, like a natural version where it's his brain in his hand instead. But I think this is really cool and very scary, apparently to me as a kid anyway. I remember my mum got me this figurine, but when I was a kid I was terrified of it, so I had to get her to hide it from me. It's somewhere in our bedroom, I don't know where she hid it. But it's a really cool figurine. Again, they've got that kind of more rubbery, malleable, is that the right word? English student here. Coat is really, really cool, and they have this little pocket, amazing, and little buttons which you can feel, and some good articulation. I guess the standard, that's one, stiff elbow. That's how I feel after exercising. Oh yes, look at that. Ood on the toilet. I was gonna say, I've never seen an Ood on the toilet. Oh yeah, wait.
May I be of any assistance? Ood on the loo.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a really good figurine basically. They got the little spaghetti face as they do. His little cute ears. Oh, I love Ood. It's such a good sculpt. And the paint apps is so detailed and you can see all of his wrinkles and everything. Really love these figurines. They're so cool. And yeah, it's just really, really amazing. I do love Ood actually. He's definitely one of my favourite species on the in the Doctor Who universe. I was gonna say my favourite villain, but you know, they're cool guys. They really are. So the penultimate figure I want to show you is the Werewolf. Ta-da! Now this is not gonna fit in frame. I can bend him down. Yeah. He's really, really cool. Obviously, he's massive. I would probably say he's about maybe 10 inches tall. You can bend his head up a little bit, up and down, up and down. But it's such a cool figurine. Now, I had two of these as a kid. My auntie had one, I had one. And my auntie's one is currently in my nan's bedroom because she likes to collect spooky, scary things. And yeah, this is really cool. I mean, it's got such good articulation. It's such a big figurine as well. It really stands out. And his face, look at his teeth and inside his mouth. Really, really impressive. Tooth and Claw was a decent episode. Not bad episode. It was alright. But I love that they used werewolves, and I also love that it was the start of Torchwood. But yeah, his arms. Oh, they do move out. Oh, that's so cool. Wow. He can do the dead meme. So yeah, his arms move like that. He's very stiff again. And his hands can move up and down. That's really cool. I mean, I guess a little extra thing, it might be a bit cheeky to point this out, but it would be cool if I could move his fingers as well, articulation-wise. Because I've seen a few figures. I mean, the other day I was looking through some other old figurines and I saw this Spider-Man one, and his fingers moved up and down. I was like, Jesus, and his toes. I was like, oh my god. But obviously, yeah, this is a really impressive figurine. I mean, come on now. His knees move. And look at that, and his feet. Like, he can break his leg. How cool is that? You know? I think that's just a really cool figurine. His tail. I mean, I'm not gonna say anything. But it's so cool the way they did like the hair and everything, the paint apps. It just looks immaculate. And you can see like some of the veins in his arm. It's so cool. I really do like this figurine, honestly. I think it's one of my favourites, and I did used to really like this as a kid. So, now we go on to the last figurine of the video. And maybe a bit of an anticlimax, but something, you know, I guess a bit of a classic. The 10th Doctor in a suit. Nice. There was also a version of him with a 2.5-inch radio control canine. And I remember having a tiny canine figurine, but I think it might have come with my Rose instead. So I didn't have the radio controlled one, but this is a nice figurine. I mean, Tennant isn't my favourite Doctor. I think mostly because I didn't like him with Rose, and obviously Rose was his companion, so it's hard to kind of watch a lot of his era. But I you know, obviously a lot of nostalgia from this, and really cool figurine. I mean, it looks like David Tennant. Come on now, look at that side profile. That's David Tennant. And his sideburns, I mean, especially from this angle, that looks really good. Yeah, just really impressed by these figurines, to be honest. Obviously, when you're a kid, you're like, oh, that's cool, I like that show, wee. But when you're older, you're like, actually, that was a really good figurine. Like, I shouldn't have banged that up so much. Obviously, you can see the paint on his hair is coming off a bit. All my doing. Oh, could have been my auntie's, I don't know. But it's really good, obviously, like I say, you know, got that more rubbery plastic for his coat that can move. You got his little tie in there, really cool, and obviously just standard articulation here. And you got his sand shoes.
They're not sand shoes. Yes, they are.
Silence!
He's very clicky. Honestly, that is me walking up the stairs sometimes. It's disturbing. But it's really cool because you can see the little crinkles in his coat and it just looks so real. So realistic. And that's what I love about these figures. I love having more realistic looking figures. So I never like to buy any pop vinyls. My only exception for pop vinyls is Jack Skellington because his head is already big and he already has black eyes. I do not like pop vinyls. Just thought I'd add that in there, even though that's irrelevant, but I do just really appreciate more realistic looking figurines. I really do. I think they're so cool. He looks really ill, doesn't he? His head, like the colour of his face. But honestly, it's really cool. I love Eccleston. Okay. I guess that maybe I could repaint that, although I'm not a professional at painting figurines. Oh, and he's got a bit of a... Oh, is that just his bum chin? I don't know, I feel like a bit of paint's rubbed off on his chin. But it could just be what they were going for, I don't know. Bit of a bum chin. This is a really cool figurine, and I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Obviously something a bit different, but I thought it would be really nice to look at some nostalgia. So please let me know if you like this video, either by liking the video itself or just leaving me a comment, you know, please just let me know. Also, if you want to see another one of these videos, it would let me know if I should do another one, because I have so many other figurines. These are the only ones I've found so far, but I'll have another look in my attic and my nan's attic, and we'll find probably a bunch of stuff in there. So let me know if you want to see it again, and I'll show you way more figurines. And also let me know some of your childhood memories if you had these figurines as a kid. I'd love to hear about them, because I know it's sometimes just really nice to look back on things and share memories with people. So yeah, leave a comment if you want to, and I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you had a wonderful day. See you in my next video. Bye.